Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hangin Sangin. I'm Kelly McCartney from the Bluegrass Situation. We have no hay bales. That is true.
Thank God.
But with me today in the writer's rooms at the Hutton, Jerry Douglas.
Hello.
Dobro Maestro.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm having a wonderful week.
Yeah, you're getting puppies.
I'm getting puppies today.
Ta-da!
Getting puppies today. My granddaughter's at the house. Another puppy. And then I'm going to go see my new grandson on Sunday.
So many puppies.
More puppies.
Yeah.
It's puppy week.
That's good living.
It is good living.
I guess.
It's good. I love it.
Yeah. Let's talk about this Dobro thing that you got going on.
I'm sorry.
As well you should be. What was it about the Dobro that first lured you in so many moons ago?
Well, I don't know if it was the Dobro by itself or the guy that was playing it. You know, Josh Graves played the Dobro with Flatt and Scruggs, and he was the one that made me want to become a musician. And it wasn't just the way he played it, because I was hearing Bashful Brother Oswald at the same time playing with Roy Acuff, and that was good. But when Josh Graves stepped up to the microphone and he blew the doors off the place, you know, he could keep up with Earl Scruggs, or he played bluesy too.
Right.
He played the blues, and I think that was the difference for me, because I was growing up close to Cleveland, Ohio, so I was hearing a lot of rock and roll at the same time, and it all worked for me. Made the instrument work for me. And my dad had a bluegrass band, but there wasn't a Dobro player within 1,000,000 miles of me. But I told somebody the other day, I stood a better chance to get hit by a car than to find a Dobro. You know,
Yeah.
It was not something you saw, and they didn't know what it was. You'd go to a music store and you say, "Do you have any Dobros?" And they'd look at you like poxed.
Yeah. Huh. But you found each other.
We did.
And to me, you're like Bela Fleck with the banjo. To me, musically, you guys both do things with these instruments that isn't normally expected. So is it you, or who's leading that exploration? Is it you or the instrument? Are you following where it's taken you, or?
I'm trying to take the instrument to more places.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. It's a great bluegrass vehicle, you know, which has been proven over and over again.
Right.
With Josh Graves and Mike Aldridge and Rob Ikes, and you know, there's several people who really can play one of these things. But I keep exploring and trying to find other ways to use it, you know, in classical music and in jazz and in rock and roll, and you know, and I created a pickup that works with it, that makes it sound, that keeps it sounding like a Dobro, but you can play to a 24,000 seat place without feeding back.
Right.
You can compete with a Telecaster.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you ever get tired of it and just be, I think I'm gonna switch to the French horn or something? Or
Not that
is the mastery, does the mastery ever stop? Is it ever complete? Is there always something new to learn and explore?
There's always something new. I keep my ears open, and I sort of adapt other things to the guitar. Things, you know, I try to. The guitar's a conduit of whatever's in here.
Whatever madness is.
What's rolling around in there all by itself.
Oof.
It's a cobwebby place. But I think that, yeah, I'm kind of trying to lead it from one place to another, but I do get tired of hearing it. You know, I got so tired of it that I, you know, started carrying around refrigerator-sized racks of things to make it sound
not like it.
Dobro. And then I got tired of that, and I just thought I just wanted to hear Dobro again. So it's a, you know, it's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
You know? But I love the sound of the guitar. I mean, these newer guitars don't sound like the Dobros did that were on the records that I learned to play from.
Right.
So I keep a lot of those old guitars around too. And the guy that builds my guitars has actually just come out with a line of guitars that sound like the old guitars.
Gotcha.
So because when I play with the Earls of Leicester, I play only
You
old
need to,
guitars.
yeah.
But he's got this new guitar. I played it on the new record with the Earls, and no one noticed.
Good. So it's old sound, new technology,
Yeah.
sturdier, probably.
Probably
think,
better
a little bit.
construction, yeah.
Yeah.
The older Dobros, the Dopiera brothers got really lucky. You know, I mean, the cone, a lot of things about the guitar haven't changed since 1927,
Right.
but the construction has.
Sure.
And now they're like big, beefy, low-ended things, you know, that have all these voices that the old Dobros didn't have. But there's an element of, there's the haunting element for me that drew me in the first place that's missing from the big, beefy hybrid guitars,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
And so you talk about taking it to other places, which you do. You cross genre lines, you cross border lines, you cross everything from.
I jump over the big wall.
You do. Like from the transatlantic sessions to Bourbon and Rosewater, which I love.
Oh,
Such
thanks.
a great record.
I love that record, too.
Do you feel like almost more of a cultural ambassador than a musician sometimes?
It's like being an ambassador for this guitar, you know, trying to, introducing it to people who have heard it before but didn't know what it looked like.
Right.
You know, and you go, they say, I don't think I've ever heard one of those. And I go, well, you have.
Have, certainly.
You have, but
Yeah.
you just didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And now you can put two and two together
Face
here.
to the
yeah.
name, yeah.
And it's a really cool looking instrument in the first place because it was created during the Art Deco times. And so it emulates that, you know, in its appearance, outward appearance. But there are a lot of things about it that they got right back then. You know, they liked Hawaiian music, but it wasn't loud enough. So they made this speaker contraption in here that's got a spun aluminum cone and all that kind of stuff, you know, that projects the sound out faster. And so a lot of the blues guys, especially the black blues guys, went to these guitars because they could compete with their voices.
Right. Yeah.
They could sing as loud as they wanted to, and the guitar wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, they couldn't drown out their guitar.
Yeah. All right, you mentioned the Earls of Leicester. I mentioned Transatlantic Sessions and other collaborations. But your latest record is a Jerry Douglas band joint called What If. Where do you see that album fitting into sort of the wider landscape of your work?
Well, that was really pushing my audience, I think. And but I quit a long time ago trying to make records for my audience.
I would think you would have had to, yeah.
I make them for me, and I figure if they really like me, they'll go wherever I go, and
or wait till the next thing comes,
or
see what
just
that is.
wait until he comes back around to what you like.
Yeah.
And so I love that record because it's so big and full. You know, it's the full band effort with two horns and electric guitar, and you know, everything is on this record. I mean, except keyboards. You know, but John Medeski is going to play with me at Merlefest.
Fun.
So who knows where we go from there?
Yeah.
But I just like the full sound and being able to more or less play the band at this point. You know,
Right.
It's dobro driven, and I write everything on the dobro, but everybody gets a little piece of the action. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Now, next year's 40th anniversary of your first solo record.
Oh God, is it? Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for telling me.
Ta-da! But even before that, you've been part of so many projects over the years, bands and collaborations and stuff. From, you know, J.D. Crowe to Union Station to Prattle. Could go on for days with that list. Yeah. Are you aware, as things are happening and unfolding, that history is being made, or does it sort of take a little hindsight and context to see what that moment was?
No, I don't know if you can know when history is being made because it isn't history yet, is it? But like with Tony Rice, the things that we recorded, and I knew that stuff was just good music, and I loved playing it. I loved being there while it was happening, and the same with J.D. Crowe, and the same with Allison, and that band. You know, there's not another sound like that anywhere, and nobody you can try to put a band together to do that, and it's not going to sound like that. It's the personalities that are involved, and the influences, you know, that everyone has start coming out, you know, in different situations. It's like painting, really, you know, especially with Allison, because you're trying not to get in her way, you're trying to support her and augment and you know, do all these things to make her vocals the center point.
Right.
You don't want to get in her way. She's too good.
Yeah.
But I don't think of it as we're making history. I'm just following the music. I'm just playing. I'm listening. I think that's the thing that a lot of people lose, or they don't listen to what else is going on around them.
Yeah.
And you can be off in your own world and be playing in a band, but you're not really in the band. You're in your band. You're not trading with these other people or listening to what they're doing and continuing a conversation. That's how I think of it, as a conversation.
Right. When you look back on those moments now, though, what do you see?
Learning. Learning that lesson of the conversation. And it took playing with the Earls of Leicester to really bring that out with me, going back to the the basics of it. Because when you listen to that Flatt and Scruggs record, you hear Lester Flatt sing, you hear Earl Scruggs, and you hear one other instrument playing backup, maybe. Mm-hmm. If Earl's not really raising his profile, somebody else is playing, but you don't hear two people playing at the same time. So there's focus.
Yeah.
And there's this, you know, this backdrop, and then there's focus on the front. And that's the lesson.
Yeah.
That's the lesson. That's what makes if you think of it and you listen to your favorite records, most of them will have been made all at one time. The records that you really like, that stick with you, and there will be a focus. There'll be something out front that it's the star. You know, there's one star at a time.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to go back through all my favorite records now and think about, because there are moments that I'm like, oh, that little period. Yeah,
it's hard to bring it down to your favorite records.
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to do that. But if you cut it all the way to the bone, you know, and just really start about, these are the things that I like the most.
Yeah,
these are the things that influenced me the most, made me want to listen to music. Maybe
you'll see the thread.
Yeah,
yeah, interesting. Here's a question for you. So Missy Raines has a new single out today, actually, called Swept Away, with Alison Brown, Molly Tuttle, Sierra Hull, Becky Buller.
Power.
All 5 IBMA award winners for their instruments.
Yeah.
There's no Dobro on that song.
It's impressive. Well,
there's no Dobro because no woman has ever won that category.
And that's a shame.
What do we do about that, man?
More girls need to be playing Dobro, and we need to start them out in the crib. No, I know lots of good Dobro players that are women, and Sally Van Meter's the first one that comes to mind.
All right.
What's her name? Who was in? You know, I can't name them by name, maybe, but I run into them.
I couldn't actually think of any myself.
Cindy Cashdollar. Cindy Cashdollar.
Oh, yep. That's
and there are lots.
Yeah.
There are lots. I was just thinking of Red Molly, the girl who plays in Red Molly. Struggling for her name right now, but she's a great Dobro player.
Yeah.
I meet a lot of women that are great Dobro players. I just don't understand awards. I mean, I've won a lot of awards, and a lot of them I've gone, you know, I really don't think I deserve to win this. I would have liked to just give this to who I think deserves it, but that's not how it supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But
it's kind of like when Adele won and she seemed like she was just going to hand her Grammy over to Beyonce right then and there. Yeah.
And what's his name didn't even have to tell her to.
Nope. He didn't.
But yeah, it's awards are funny creatures. That's not why we do this.
No, I know.
You know, it's just awards are just to make you real nervous for a couple of days. And then you win.
And have a reason to get everybody together in the same room.
Yeah, and then you win or you lose, and then you feel just like you would have, 2 days later, you feel, if you won or lost, you're going to feel the same way.
That's true.
It's not going to matter.
Bookend on your shelf. Yeah.
No. When we went to the Grammys, I went to the Grammys with this new record of mine, and I really felt strong about the chances of winning that, and it messed with me.
Did you?
It really did, and it messed with me, and I really wanted to win because I really wanted the band to win.
Right.
They'd never been to the Grammys. They'd never been in this situation. I wanted them to have the full Monty, I wanted them to get the full treatment. I wanted them to win.
Yeah.
And it was more than I wanted me to win. I wanted them to win. And when we didn't, I was crushed. I was crushed, but I was crushed for them.
Right.
More than for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I like winning. Don't let me
it's nice.
mislead you. Sure. Winning's better than losing. but it's not everything. It's not everything. And there, when Molly Tuttle won guitar, I just went, "Oh, this is the greatest, and something big's coming tonight."
I suspect that the only person happier than Brian Sutton was Molly.
Yeah.
Brian
is that way. Brian was totally thrilled about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would love for there to be a woman to win the Dobro player category.
Be pretty cool.
It's a pretty boring category. I mean, there are enough of us to play cards now that have won that. When he won this year, I told him that I said, well, now 4 of us have won this category. We can play cards.
Yeah.
And that's sick, isn't it?
It's sad.
It's really sad, and so more women need to.
It
pick up
definitely speaks to the voting apparatus than the talent pool.
And I don't know why there aren't more women playing the dobro, because it's such an emotive instrument, and there's so much finesse involved. And if I can do it, and I'm just clunking along here, I mean in the hands of the right person, and especially a woman who women have better dexterity than men. It's true.
It's true.
And so this is the perfect instrument for women. I mean, to be able to finesse the bar, to make these notes sing.
Yeah.
There's my promotion for women to play.
There it is.
I would love it. I would love it. I loved Sally Van Meter's playing. I produced a record for her, and she bit off some big pieces, some big tunes to play, and we worked really hard, and she played so great. And there are more. Cindy, like I said, Cindy Cash Dollar,
Yeah.
There are a lot of great women dobro players. They just need to jump out there. Dobro is a timid person's instrument.
Interesting.
A cerebral person.
Yeah. Well, let's see what you got, Jerry Douglas. Play us a song.
Thrash a little bit for you.
Okay.
One of the worst things about being a dobro player is you never know where all your stuff is. I carry 2 bars. Because if I can't find the first one, if I leave the first one in another room, I can go back and get the other one.
Makes sense.
How you like it so far? Is it all right?
Fantastic.
I had to take a minute and learn that tune while I was playing it there. I wasn't sure what song I was going to play, so I just started playing that one, and I went, uh-oh.
I guess I'm playing that one.
I really shouldn't be playing the song because I don't know it well enough to just play it first. And so I had to learn it a little bit there, so pardon me.
Okay, well, you made it through.
It's called The Perils of Private Mulvaney.
All right. Or The Perils of Jerry Douglas.
It was definitely the perils, the shocking despair of Jerry Douglas there in the front, yeah. So,
a new version.
Yep, yeah. I meant to do every note of that.
All of that. We are now at the enlightening round. Because according to the Wikipedia masters, you have played on more than 1,600 albums across your story.
Somebody's
career.
counting that stuff. It's not me.
Somebody is. So I'm going to list people that you've played with or collaborated with, and you just tell me something about, like, a memory or favorite, something you gleaned from them.
Okay.
Start with Ray Charles.
Wow. Well, I was surprised to get the call in the first place. You know, no one thinks they're going to ever get to play with Ray Charles.
Sure.
But my buddy Ricky Skaggs, Hall of Famer.
Now, yes.
Almost.
Yes.
Proud of him.
Nominee.
He was going to do a song on a record called Friendship, and the song was called Friendship. And so he's going to sing this thing with Ray, and he said, "Hey, would you come play on this song? It'd be great to have you come play on it." And I thought, this is great, man. This, it's nice to have buddies in high places at a time like this. So so I went in to play on the record, and I was over where the pianos were. Pig Robbins and Ray Charles are facing each other.
Oh boy.
They're both blind.
Yeah.
And neither one of them have headphones on.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there, and I take the solo in the middle of the song, so they didn't even hear me. He didn't even hear it happen, going down. And people scattered all over the room, and so they're just playing, and everybody's playing to these guys. So when we get in to listen to the to the playback, and Ray takes over the console. He starts. They tell him where things are, and he takes over and he mixes. He's there mixing.
Oh my goodness!
And the Dobro solo comes up, and he goes, "What's that?" And I said, "That's a Dobro, Ray." And he said, "Oh, what's that?" So we went through this whole thing, me explaining to him what the guitar was and everything. So that was great, And he did the whole thing to me, like shook hands with me, but was feeling he would feel your wrist and your forearm to see how big a fella you were.
What he's dealing with.
How small a woman you were.
Yeah.
And that's how he could judge,
right.
who's dealing with.
Right.
One way, anyway. But I was moving. Here's the really strange Ray Charles part. It was the next record of his that I played on. I'm moving out of a house over in East Nashville, and everything's gone out of the house, and I'm just taking the last round through the house, saying goodbye to the house. As I'm leaving, the phone rings. I pick up the phone. It's Ray Charles. And he says, "Would you come down and play on another song?" And I said, "Yes." And right after the conversation ended, I just ripped the phone cord out of the wall. I wanted that to be the last call that I got in that house.
Yes.
So
indeed.
Good end to that one.
Nice. Let's go with Vishwa Mohan Bhatt.
VM. I called him VM because it was too the other part took too long.
Yeah, it's wordy.
And everybody kind of calls him VM. And but I met him first in Rajasthan. And I was in India with Edgar Meyer and Russ Barenberg. Okay. We had a record called Skip, Hop, and Wobble, but we were doing a State Department tour. And we were supposed to play outside, but it was monsoon rains came in, so we had to play in a small place. And there were about 10,000 people out there, and I think they got them all in the small place. And I see a guy in a silver robe out there. It's not a sari. That's what a woman wears. But yeah. I don't know what you call what the man wears. But he was obviously sticking out in the crowd. I could see him. And then after the show, there was a little reception, and he was there. And he had just won a Grammy for the record with Ry Cooder. And he said, "Oh, we must record, And then he was shouting at me about how big the check was across the table, about how big the check was that he had just gotten. And I was going, shh, don't tell any. You shouldn't be doing that. Don't. You're going to get robbed on your way out of here, and by me." But so he came over to the station. There was a fellow named Kavi Alexander that owned the record company, Water Lily Acoustics, and everything was recorded just direct to disc. It was sort of direct to disc, but it was direct to 2-track tape. But the 2-track tape was 1 inch, and that's what originally 8-track was cut on.
Okay.
So this was vacuum tube, everything. And the guy, Kavi, wouldn't even play. He'd only play it back once. And so Edgar and I were writing tunes every night in the Red Carpet Inn, downtown Santa Barbara. And we were recording in the Mission, the old Mission in Santa Barbara.
Okay.
And the priest had just been hauled away. It was right at the front of the big scare for the priests. And their priest had been hauled away, but there were monks that would come in every day at a certain time to use the big room that we were using, and it was just a solid rock room, and we were standing on solid rock, recording this huge. I mean, the room itself was a big reverb chamber,
right?
And but Edgar and I were writing songs because the Kavi was having a long distance phone relationship with an operator from LL Bean, and we were writing songs every night and naming the songs after body parts and sexual positions and things like that, and none of those made it to the record. But so the record came out, and it was called what's the record called? It's Bourbon and Rosewater. And Edgar and I were writing totally different direction because we came out there. We had 3 songs written, and VM just wanted to improvise over whatever we wrote.
Okay.
So it was Edgar and I staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning writing these songs and giving these really body names, titles, and the relationship didn't work out either. She flew out in the middle of the recording, and she was from Maine, and Kavi was from Sri Lanka,
right?
And it just that didn't work.
Ships crossing in the night.
Yeah, they should just stuck with the phone.
Yeah,
that worked a lot better for them.
That's true for a lot of things.
Yeah, probably. But that's but VM wouldn't only order and eat in certain Indian restaurants, and he didn't eat anything else. He wouldn't eat anything else. And it wasn't every Indian restaurant we went in that he would stay and eat. So he was very particular, and it was all a dietary and religiously based diet that he was on.
Yeah.
So love him though, and he's he's one of the pioneers of that kind of guitar playing over there. He was one of the first guys. Then there's another guy named Debashish Bhattacharya that is now taken over. I guess he's the king of that now.
Yeah.
And he's great. And I've recorded with him as well. But VM, the recording with VM and Edgar was really
something else.
It was great. It's great.
All right, let's end with Earl Scruggs.
Oh. Well, I saw Earl Scruggs. I heard Earl Scruggs is probably the first thing I remember hearing ever.
Wow.
And then when I got old enough, to even like 5 years old, I knew that was good. I knew that was a good sound. And it was obvious, just the way my dad would react to it and everybody. before I ever saw him. And then when I saw him, he was like, on a pedestal to me. And as was Josh Graves and the whole band. I mean, that was like seeing the Beatles for me. At 6 or 7 years old, to see Flatt and Scruggs live in Youngstown, Ohio, at Stambaugh Auditorium, and I even know what date it was and everything. So it was like seeing the Beatles. And then I grow up and I moved to Nashville, and Earl Scruggs becomes my friend. That's nuts.
It's weird. It's a weird thing.
But then to get on the bus with him and be playing in his band. To get on the bus with him and just wind him up and let him start telling stories.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Because he was a very quiet man, very quiet, reserved man. But when he would start telling stories, you couldn't stop. And it was so good. Everything was so good. Every minute, every second that I spent with him, I cherish it. I'm blessed to have hung out with and been in the presence of some of these people. And Earl Scruggs is way up there on the top of the heap. He was just, there's not many people you can look at and say that guy's definitely a legend. It's like he's like a George Washington, Abraham Lincoln kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I haven't met many of those. Couple others maybe, but he was the first one. The first sound I ever heard, and what influenced me in the journey, that I've had, and what made me take the path that I took.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Earl.
Thank you, Earl.
Yeah.
Gee whiz.
Second song. How about send this one up to Earl? We just had the 6th anniversary of his passing.
Play a little bit of Home Sweet Home. I played this with Earl and always loved this song. I mean, it wasn't one of those big, hard driving bluegrass songs that he was known for, but he could play, even playing a banjo now. Sorry, Bela, but it's not a sustained instrument or anything like that, where it's not a great, huge, emotive instrument, only in the hands of somebody like Earl Scruggs or Bela Fleck.
Right. Yeah.
No, but Pikelny, somebody like that. But Earl could play these kind of tunes.
Sweet Home. Jerry Douglas, thank you for being here. What a pleasure.
Thank you. I wish we had more time.
Well, we took a little extra even.
Oh, did we all? Sorry.
Well, no, hey, I was having a great old hang here. Got a sofa, got water. We can keep going.
Volume 2.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here.
Yes.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah. Next week we have 2 shows again next week. 1:30, Mary Chapin Carpenter. And I know.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Stars after stars after stars.
I know. And then at 2:30 next week, Caitlin Canty. So there we go. We will see you then. Over and out from the writers' rooms at the Hutton.
Thank y'all.